Swapan, Mr. Johar Sarkar makes a point. 2 lakh crores are owed to the state. What would you do about it?
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've been honored to hear 2 very, very passionate interventions from 2 distinguished members of parliament belonging to one particular party. One of them I've had the good fortune of knowing many number of years. The other one I've got to know in the Central Hall, where we've had very many convivial discussions, and his passion has often shown. Unfortunately today, he overwhelmed us with statistics. A mass of statistics. Unfortunately, I may be a bit dim, but I couldn't make head or tail of where it began and where it ended. Having heard both of them, I was often struck by an anecdote which I have heard from my college in Delhi. It was an alumni meeting, and whereupon one very, very distinguished member, a politician, come ambassador, come various things, he wrote in the visitor's book, "I am what I am thanks to the college." Whereupon an equally distinguished gentleman, who was also a minister, who was also a member of parliament, wrote below that, "Why blame the college?" Sir, we've heard a lot of stories about federalism, how the iniquitous federalism is comparable to that of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. I didn't know he had any federal structure. What is very important and very significant is that you would almost believe, after hearing these 2 interventions, that there is a separate federal law which exists for West Bengal, which is different from the federal laws which exist for the rest of India. Has there been a single constitutional amendment in Indian history, in recent history, which singles out West Bengal for either special treatment or special discrimination? It's exactly the same playing field. The playing field may be bumpy, the playing field may be full of potholes, the playing field may be even or uneven, but they are the same, whether it's for Maharashtra, whether it's for West Bengal, whether it's for Pondicherry, whether it's for Delhi or for Rajasthan. It's exactly the same. How people have done, within the context of what you might call a flawed federalism or a failed federalism, depends. India, I don't think in any way can be called a failed state. I don't think, however much you may hate the present dispensation, you cannot call India a failed state. India has progressed. Maybe we could have progressed far better. Maybe we could have galloping rate of growth, but we have progressed. And federalism is an inherent structure, a part of that progress. But if you really look at the whole scenario, let's take the case of Maharashtra and Bengal. And I want to use this because in 47, it was almost said whether Kolkata is superior or Bombay is superior was a matter of judgment. One went up, one went down. But at independent, Bengal's share of industrial production was 30%. Today, it is 3.5%. I don't think Maharashtra is at 3.5%. In 1960, Bengal's per capita income was 105% of that of Maharashtra. Today, it is not even half. Bengal has slipped to 15th position. And it's worth looking at it, that the gap with Maharashtra has increased by 1% each year for 35 years. Now, Maharashtra has the same federal laws as Bengal. Why did one do better and why did one do badly? We can call it a victim of monumental conspiracies. I think one of the great things about Bengal is we love conspiracies. We love conspiracies at every quarter. Everything is a conspiracy. And what was this conspiracy which happened? Was it a conspiracy of someone's politics? The choices which we made in Bengal were our own flawed imagination. It was not a choice which was dictated by someone else. But yet you call it a conspiracy. You call it a conspiracy that the Central Reserve Police is used for tax raids. Because we've also been told that you cannot have tax raids in one part of the city, because if you have tax raid and you find 30 crores or 40 crores of cash under someone's bed, that will actually drive away industrialists. It's a very strange logic we see. It's a very strange logic, but it's perfectly understandable. We also understand various things. We were told that Gherao is not inherent to Bengal. Gherao was the product of the left. And the left drove away people. Don't blame the Bengalis for it. I agree with you. I agree with Mr. Jawahar Sarkar. I agree also, therefore, that in 2006 and 7, when there was a movement in Singur and there was Tatas were driven out of the state, don't blame the Bengalis for it. Blame only one person for it. But as a result, Bengal is the great sufferer. Because in the choice which people have to take, Bengal becomes a blacklisted thing. It is not because of the constitution. It is because people's perception. And it is that perception which is very important. I think I would implore every one of you to realize one thing, that there are a lot of flaws in India. There are a lot of flaws. I think some of us realize it better than others. But one thing, unless we can actually look into ourselves, what Mr. Nambiar said, where have we succeeded and where have we failed? And if we blame the system for everything, it's the same system which operates everywhere. Recently, Professor Amartya Sen, a very distinguished Bengali, lamented, he normally doesn't lament very much, but he lamented that there was a time when Kolkata had 18 flights from London. It's causing him a great deal of inconvenience. I do recognize that. But did these 18 flights disappear because there was some central diktat? Or did these flights disappear because somehow Bengal became less and less relevant? And that people of this state, ordinary people of this state, not my big Marwari friends who have still their houses in Kolkata, but their capital in Bombay or Delhi. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about various people, including everyone here. How many of you have sons or daughters who've bought the proverbial one-way ticket out of the state? Whether they've gone to Manhattan or whether they've gone to Mumbai. It's that. That's not happening elsewhere. Because the traffic is going into Bangalore, the traffic is going into Chennai, the traffic is going into Delhi. And if you think, okay, we are not bothered about capital, we are not bothered about capitalism, we are a cerebral community, then look at the quality of education. The quality of education whereby if you put out a blank sheet of paper, you can get marks.
Swapan, we'll have to wind up. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I'm sorry I didn't hear the bell. But all I wish to state is, it's all right. You can believe in conspiracies. You can believe that Bengal is a victim. But I believe that at the end of the day, Bengal is a victim of itself. And that is something we need to remedy, and only we can remedy it. Thank you very much.
Swapan was characteristically incisive in its analysis of the self-inflicted wounds cast on ourselves. But he's left the matter of the pending 2 lakh crores, which I think he's going to answer in the second round, won't you? I think he will. Swapan.
Thank you very much. I was just intrigued that India has been called a series of failures. Failures in gender equality, failure in press freedom, failure of traffic management perhaps, failure of God knows what. I also compliment the man who put an accusing finger at India's failures for having spent most of his professional life at least presiding over a regime of failures. What that makes him is another matter altogether. Sir, what we've seen here is that there have been very confusing statements. If I was to take Mr. Sandeep Chatterjee's assertion that in a war of elephants, it's the grass which suffers. It's the little man or the little person who gets trampled underfoot. Now that is something which we can always agree on this side and that side. But if we got to go into what Mr. Kalyan Banerjee very passionately, I'm sorry I didn't understand, I got lost in his Hindi this time. He pointed out that Bengal has been strangled, Bengal has been discriminated against. You almost believe that there was an inverse Article 370 which was put mainly to strangle Bengal. And that somehow the responsibility of the whole country is how we can discriminate against Bengal. I didn't realize Bengalis are so unpopular. I didn't realize that our neighboring state, Odisha, has the same regime, exactly the same regime. Odisha does reasonably well. At one time, we used to look down on Odisha. Today, Odisha is on the verge of overtaking Bengal. And for that, we are blaming the center. We are blaming Mr. Modi. I didn't realize Mr. Naveen Patnaik is really something of the center. It's baffling. This whole business is quite baffling. What we have here is a system which has lots of flaws. But I repeat this point once again, that these flaws have been uniformly spread to all the states. And that Bengal is not an exception to the flaws. My friend Kalyan Banerjee quoted Rabindranath. Rabindranath Tagore is a poet for all occasions. So let me end up by also quoting Rabindranath. And I would advise him to take it. Rekhecho Bangali kore manush koroni.
Sorry, sir. This is not Rabindranath, this is Satyendranath Thakur.
We will.
Sorry.